Have you ever showed up to a consultation or sales call, whatever you call it, and you start having the conversation and you realize, OMG, this person is so not my person? You know, it's a pretty big problem for a lot of service providers where you definitely want to have great sales conversations. You want to have more people coming into your offerings, but there's something broken that's causing you to have what we call bad fit prospects. Hey, it's Melanie Benson here, founder of Amplify Your Success and Amplify Your Authority. And I've been working with a lot of people lately on fixing the what I call the sales friction that's in their selling process. And sometimes the thing you got to fix happens way before you ever get on a call with somebody. Yes, we can get you a great enrollment script. Yes, we can get you a better pre-qualifying process. But look, if you're making these two big marketing mistakes, then chances are you're not even getting the leads in the door in the first place. And the people that you are attracting are not buyers. They're not really going to have the right problem. And so that might be why you keep getting on the phone with these people who are not really great leads. And by the way, if you don't do phone call like consults and you're doing in person, this happens there. And it also can happen when you are doing a launch and you're wanting to attract people into your masterclass or your webinar and into your offerings. But we're going to really hone in on the enrollment call today because I'm just obsessed with shifting this one thing. And by the way, I learned a huge lesson on this myself several times. Sometimes you got to keep learning the lesson, right? And what I discovered was that these two marketing mistakes were actually the biggest problem I had. The first one is you have a message that is out of sync with the type of client you want to attract. I literally just got off the phone with a woman who had reached out because she was struggling with sales. And she was asking me, she was curious about my programs. And what we talked about was the problem wasn't necessarily in her sales, although that may have been part of the problem. The bigger problem was her message was really confusing. And so her offering was for this kind of person, but her message was attracting this kind of person. And that is fundamentally why a lot of people have lots of leads that show up on their masterclasses, show up on their enrollment calls, and they're just looking, or they're trying to get some free advice, or they are not really ready to buy. They're just kind of in the search process. And that's because they're not really a great lead for you. They may have the problem, but they may not be a buyer, or they may be a buyer, but they don't have the problem you specialize in. So marketing mistake number one is you've got to make sure you have the right message. You've got to make sure that this message, this is what I call build the golden thread. You have to build a thread between your offering and the ideal clients you want to attract who have the problem and are actively searching for a solution. And if you don't have that thread between those two worlds, then you're going to have a lot of sales conversations or a lot of people on your list that are just kind of hanging out because that's not really what they need and want. Or they like your vibe, but they're just not interested in what it is you're offering. And that's the power of that relevancy that I talk about over and over and over again in the ROCKS method. So here's the thing. To fix that, you've got to really understand who your ideal client is, and knowing who your ideal client is and what the problem is you solve goes back to really having a zero friction sales experience. When you know that and you're crystal clear about it, and this is the thing we do in Amplify Your Authority Inner Circle all day long, is get people realigned with their superpower so that they have the right message, so that they're attracting the right clients. Now, the second part of this, the second mistake, is you're fishing in the wrong pools. Like, I like to think of marketing as like you're going out there with your fishing rod, and then you're just going to wheel in those people who are these great clients for you because they've got a message. The message is your worm or your lure, whatever you want to call it. And you're pulling these people in like a magnet. And that's because there's this great synergy in this energy. But if you're taking this great message and you're in the wrong audiences, guess what's going to happen? Again, you're going to have a lot of people who are not ready to buy, can't buy, don't want to buy because they may have the problem, but they're never going to solve the problem. I know I've shared the story before, but just for the sake of the point coming home, I learned this in a very expensive way many years ago. It was about 13, 14 years ago, and I was so honored. I was invited to this coveted visibility opportunity, and all my big marketing friends were doing this, what's called cage match. I know it sounds so masculine and gruesome, right? So this cage match was put on by a well-known marketer, and he would match you with two other marketers, and you competed on a teleconference because we didn't even have Zoom back then. You competed. Every question they asked you, you had to have the best answer, and people voted. And whoever got the most votes won. And what you won was you won a promotion campaign to the 200,000 people on this guy's list. And of course, he was just making the list bigger through this process. Well, I was very excited because I was going up against two very well-known marketers. But something really profoundly powerful happened. It was the best marketing training I had had in years. And I won. I had great answers and people voted for me, and big thanks to my audience who participated back then. And what I won was that promotion. And so I ran a promotion. I had a whole bunch of people take advantage of the promotion. I was thrilled. I think I had something like 500 people jump on this promotion. And I believe the promotion was I gave them for $1, like it was a $1 trial of my membership at the time. Well, guess what happened at the end of the 30 days? 495 of the 500 people bailed out. And at first I was so upset and I was frustrated. I'm like, what happened? They all bailed out. And what I realized was, even though it was a coveted marketing opportunity and it was great visibility, these were not my people. These were not my ideal audience. So what I taught and who I wanted to attract was not in that audience. So yeah, maybe 5 of them was, and it was a lot of money and time and energy to experience that onslaught of people leaving. But the big lesson, and this is the lesson I want to bring home for you, is that if you are visible, highly visible, and marketing to the wrong audiences, then you're going to attract people who will maybe respond to your offers, but they're not buyers. So they tend to suck up your time and energy. They will book the free consults. They will, get on your free master classes. They'll do all the free stuff, but they are not buyers. So they're not going to buy from you. And typically it's because there's a mismatch in the type of person, like the type of client they are. So there's a lot of people that just seek free advice and they never take action. And sometimes it's just a misalignment of what they need, like the relevance on their mind is in a different place than the relevance of your offer. And so it's a mismatch of timing. Could be a lot of things, but we're not going to go into all that here. So your job is to make sure you're marketing and you're being consistently visible in the right marketing pools so that you are where your clients are looking for the solution. So that when they get on your email list, when they get on listen to your podcast, they get on your different marketing lead generation strategies, you're attracting people through the rapport building stage, which we teach in Zero Friction Selling, so that by the time they get on a consult call or they're making the buying decision, they're already in. It's just usually a timing thing at that time. And you've already built that trust and that rapport and that credibility up. And they know you are the person they'd like to work with, or maybe they just have a few questions they want cleared up. And sometimes we just have to get them past their internal fears and resistance that is all about asking the right questions. So what I've just explained is phase 1 and phase 2 of the Zero Friction Selling process. But if you don't have the right feeding system, like the right lead generation process, phase 1 and phase 2 will not work. And that's what we have to fine tune to really get more sales coming in the door, more enrollments, be able to serve more clients and do the thing that you really want to do, which is, I know you want to make an impact and you want to be able to like really experience that steady flow of financial growth, right? Like that is the coveted outcome for so many of us. You got to look in the blind spot. That's what I'm learning about sales. That's what I've learned about marketing is like oftentimes the problem lurks in our blind spot. It's why I love working with people building a business around their expertise and their authority. They're just looking to fine tune and like sand off the rough edge on something that already works pretty well, but they want it to work amazing. They want to get more into that flow state and reduce the friction in their business and in their systems and in their sales. And that's what we do here. So if you have not yet heard about my quiz, I just released a new quiz. It's called Identifying Your Sales Friction Points. And what I'll do is I ask you 7 questions that illuminate if that is something that's working well or not working well. And then when you click through to get your results, I've got a little training I put together on the 3 phases of the zero friction sales system and how you can make it work for you. So how do you get the quiz? Melanie'sQuiz.com. I will link it up in the notes below. And you want to make sure that even if you think you're doing a great job of selling, but you're still attracting too many of those looky-loos and freebie seekers, or there's some pieces that you can kind of sand off the rough edge and get a little bit better results. I'd love to share the process with you. And if you know going from sales overwhelm or friction to getting more sales flow is up for you, you're definitely going to want to join us in my Zero Friction Sales Workshop. Normally, this is a $19.97 program I teach, but I'm teaching it for my Amplify Your Authority Inner Circle, which means you can join for $197 and get access to the entire training I'm doing on August 25th virtually, so you can take it from anywhere in the world. We already have people signed up from all the way from Australia to England, all over the US and Canada. Love to have you too. But you do need to secure your spot and make sure that you take the quiz first, Melanie'sQuiz.com, to find out where you're ranking and what you want to do next. Okay. We'll see you next week. And I'd love to hear if you've already taken the quiz, what was your result? Post it in the comments. Let me know what you discovered about your sales process. Okay, bye for now.